What's going on, everyone? It's Ben from YGO from Zero, back with another Yugi-Kaiba format video, back with another stall mill video, because this really is one of the best decks in the format, and even if it's not very popular, I do want to show it off a little bit more. So, if you missed my last video, or if you missed the guide where I also explained this, then let me just go through the deck real quickly before we dive into the duels. So Stall Mill is a deck basically based around getting your opponent not to run out of life points, but to deck out, which means that they run out of cards in their deck to draw, and if they go to draw another card and they can't, they lose. And in order to do that, it basically aims to stall out your opponent for as long as possible. So for the monsters, we've got all 4 different level 4 lower 2k defenders. So we've got Aquamador, Mystical Elf, Spirit of the Harp, and Giant Soldier of Stone. We've also got 3 Wall of Illusion, the other wall in this format with over 1800 defense. It can also serve to bounce opponent's monsters back to hand, which can be useful for setting them back a turn. We also have 3 Maneater Bug to act as removal on our opponent's turn. We have 3 Gyaku Tenno Megami to pair with Change of Heart and Soul Exchange to act as a form of removal. For the spells, we of course have the Change of Heart and the 2 Soul Exchange I mentioned, but we also have the other limited spells like Dark Hole, Monster Reborn, Pot of Greed, Raigeki, all extremely good. We have 3 Fisher to act as even more removal, 2 Swords Revealing Light because we are a stall deck after all, so we want to have the ability to stall our opponent more, and a Card Destruction to either unbrick our hands when we draw the pieces that we don't need to actually stall out our opponent, or to just go for game, get them to discard a lot of cards, to dig deeper into their deck, and lose even quicker. For the traps, we have 3 Trap Hole, 3 Waboku. Trap Hole acts as removal on our opponent's turn, and Waboku can protect our life points as well as our monsters, so both are very good in a stall deck. And we also have 3 Ultimate Offering, because Ultimate Offering really is the backbone of the deck. You really want to see it, so that way you can set your monster during your opponent's battle phase, dodge around your opponent's removal potentially. Just an incredibly good card. And of course for the side deck, we have our ability to swap into a Soul Control deck. So we have 2 Battle Ox, 3 Login, 3 Neo, 3 Summon Skull, 1 Soul Exchange, and 3 Reinforcements to go into a more Soul Control focused deck after our opponent sided in to more stall hate. Again, credit to this deck goes to DK0, although I have talked to them and they have said that they have some interesting ideas that they would like to implement to potentially change this deck, and that it's potentially not as tested and explored as it could be. So, and I would agree. I think that, you know, not many people play stall sorts of decks, so there is a lot of room for experimentation and exploration with this strategy, but maybe we'll get into that in later videos. For now, let's just dive into some games. Okay, we got a duel against Ellie Tin Can here, who has been a regular featured duelist on the channel. Very good player. We're playing Stall Mill, and they're doing my job for me over here in the comments. Yeah, YouTube video. Let's go. Subscribe, like, comment. I agree. But, this is a pretty good hand here. We've got a 2k defender, and we don't have any traps, but we do have swords for if they're massing damage on board. We also have Gyaku Tenno Megami and Soul Exchange together in hand, so that combo's online. But we'll just go with a set of Spirit of the Harp, and then just set 2 and pass. They're going to bring out a Login, and they're just going to attack in. And they will take 200 there because they won't be able to get over Spirit. They're going to set 2 of their own, pass back to us. Ultimate Offering is a great draw, but unfortunately we don't really have any defenders to capitalize on it. So we are just going to Fisher away that Login to make sure that they can't get too much damage on the board in case they have a Fisher. Set the Ultimate Offering, pass back to them. They're going to Pot of Greed, which, you know, it does get them closer to the end of their deck, but they really do want to draw in some outs, because if they can do that, they can potentially just end the game before we can get our stall package online. They're going to bring out a Battle Ox, and they will just set 1 and pass. So I think they were trying to bait out a Trap Hole there, but joke's on them, we don't have Trap Hole, so won't affect us. We'll set another, pass back to them. They'll bring out a Neo, which is also fine by us, and they will attack in. And they will reinforcements, so they will be able to get over the Spirit of the Harp, and then they'll attack in with a Neo. And this is a pretty smart thing to do. They could have done this last turn, but that would have given us the opportunity to then set another defender. So it's good to do that sort of play once you have more board presence. So that's what they did. And they were able to get in for 17. We really want to draw a monster here, which is kind of unfortunate that we're not. We have a couple options, though. We can reborn back our Spirit of the Harp if we so choose. We could just Swords of Revealing Light to stall them for a bit longer. Or we could Soul Exchange one of their monsters to set out Megami. And that is what we're going to do. I like that play, especially when we have the Trap Hole to back it up. So if they bring out another monster, we can always Trap Hole it. They are just going to attack in with Neo, and they will take the 3. They're just going to set 1, pass back to us. Card Destruction is an okay draw. I don't think we need it right now, so we'll save it for later. They're going to set 1, pass back to us, and it's very likely that is a bug, so we will set another monster in case they bug our Gyakuteno, and, you know, we want to have some backup. I think we could have kept the Soldier of Stone in hand because we do have an Ultimate Offering, but it's tough to say in situations like this. We might not want to reveal that we have an Ultimate Offering or pay the 500 this early. So we will just set the stone, pass back to them. They will Man-Eater the Gyakuteno, and they will run into the Giant Soldier. Mystical Elf's a very good draw. We can keep that in hand because we do have the Ultimate Offering if they have a Fisher or something. And they do not, or they're not going to use it yet, so they're just going to pass back to us. We draw a wall, pass back to them. They're going to bring out a Battle Ox, pass back to us. And we're just passing back and forth. We don't really need to use any of our additional cards here because we're in a very, very solid position. We could have Trap Holed that Battle Ox, but there's no real need to when we have the Ultimate Offering. Especially when they've already used up 1 reinforcements. So, we don't really need to do anything. And Raigeki is a decent draw as well. You know, clear their board in case we want to. They're going to attack into the stone, and that signals that they probably do have reinforcements, which they do. We are going to flip up Ultimate Offering here, pay 5, set another defender, and that will not die to their logic. Pass back to us, we'll pass back to them, pass back to us. Another Trap Hole isn't the best. Yeah, we're at 7 cards, so we will have to discard something at the end of the turn. We could honestly discard Card Destruction because I don't think it will serve us that much use because we have a very good, you know, setup here. But we are just going to Change of Heart their monster and attack into one of their other monsters. So this way, Change of Heart serves as like a 1-for-1 removal. It deprives the Change of Heart Gyakuteno Megami combo later on in the game. But, you know, we have to use up a card anyways, so we might as well use it. I think we honestly could have Raigeki'd there, but I guess this is a way more tempting board to Raigeki, so we're going to go for that. And we did hit a Man-Eater bug, which is very nice. They're going to set 1, pass back to us. Wuboku is not a bad draw. We already have Wuboku on field, so it doesn't really matter too much. We're just going to end turn here and discard a wall. I think we should have probably set the wall because it was going to go to the graveyard anyways, but nothing we can do now. Giant Soldier of Stone's going to come out, try and negate that Trap Hole, I think. Or just get more damage on the board. We're going to set a Wall of Illusion this time, so, you know, this way it won't wind up in the graveyard for certain. They're going to bring out an Aquamador. Switch stone to defense, pass back to us. We're just going to set another because we don't want to discard. And they are going to attack in. It is a wall, so that Aquamador will bounce back to hand. They'll set 2, pass back to us. And do we even discard monsters anymore? It might be a bit too risky. We're going to discard a Trap Hole, which I don't think is bad. We do have the possibility of just ending the game out of nowhere with a Card Destruction if their hand retains its current size. So, I don't think that's a bad play. Dark Hole's interesting. We could Dark Hole here just to get a card out of our hand and then set more defenders. But we are just going to set a defender there. They are going to Soul Exchange. We are going to Trap Hole. This opens up a spell or trap card slot for us. Oh, or we could just Monster Reborn their Summon Skull back, which is pretty good. We're going to clear their Giant Soldier, pass back to them. They're going to Swords, pass back to us. We are going to Swords them in response, and that will flip up Maneater, which will pop our Summon Skull, but that's not the worst thing in the world. And they can't attack in this way to get it back by attacking into the Wall of Illusion. So I feel pretty good about that. We're going to set another pass back to them, and they're just going to end their turn. And we're feeling pretty good about this. We'll set another, which maybe is a bit too much, but they're going to Soul Exchange, tribute out that Summon Skull, pass back to us. Our swords will expire. And Fissure can't be activated here profitably, which is kind of unfortunate, but we can save it for later. It'll be profitable at a later time, probably. And they're going to switch their Maneater bug to attack, so that way they can bounce it back to hand. And then they're going to try and attack into our last remaining set. They will be able to get over that with reinforcements. They'll pass back to us. Pot of Greed's interesting, but we don't really need to use it now, so we'll just discard it at the end of the turn. They're going to bring out a Lodge in, and they will Fissure away one of our walls, attack over the other one, and they will try and attack in. We'll just Woboku this, I guess because no, they've used up all 3 reinforcements, so I don't see why we wouldn't just Ultimate Offering there. Maybe just to use up the Spell and Trap card zone. But they're going to clear out their hand a bit, so that way they can't just be card destruction for game, which I think is smart. We're going to set another. They're going to attack in with everything, but we are going to Ultimate Offering, bring out an Aquamador, and they're going to set another pass back to us. We are going to Dark Hole here, so we do lose our Aquamador, but we do get to clear away their Maneater bug. Yep, and it was Maneater bug. So they're going to bring out a Giant Soldier of Stone. Luckily, we have another Ultimate Offering to bring out a Defender here. They will just use Woboku because they're not using it for anything else. And they'll pass back to us. We'll pass back to them. They're going to Change of Heart Armador, summon out a Summon Skull. That's perfectly fine by us. We can bring out a Maneater bug here to pop the Skull. Or pop the... Oh, we can pop the Giant Soldier because we have a Fissure set. Yeah, that makes sense. And we drew another Gyakuteno, which, you know, is kind of bricky because we don't have a Soul Exchange here. But honestly, we don't need it because we've got the Giant Soldier in hand. And we do have 2 Woboku as well. They're going to attack in with the Battle Ox. We are going to pay 5, bring out a Giant Soldier. That will get attacked by the Battle Ox, and they'll pass back to us. Another Ultimate Offering, not necessarily what we want to see, but can't hurt. We've got the swords. This is very good for us. If they do have a D-Spell or something to get through this, we do have a Woboku, but it looks like they don't. And we do have another Defender now in hand. They're just going to activate Woboku to clear out their back row a little bit more, so that way they don't die to card destruction. Trap Hole isn't the best right now, but we might as well set it. They're going to Fissure away our Giant Soldier. Swords will expire. We're just going to set 1 pass. And we are just going to activate Woboku, because we do have 2 Woboku, so this is just going to be the end of the game. And that's the end of the game there. They can't deal damage to us anymore, or at least battle damage. They're going to play it out. You know, we'll Trap Hole that Summon Skull. And we'll pay 5, set the Maneater, show them that even without the Woboku, we had the game here. So, that's a pretty typical game 1 on Stall Mill. We did brick near the end there, but we had our board set up so well that it didn't really matter. And we did have card destruction if it actually did matter to discard our hand and draw more cards. We would have had to be careful with that to make sure that we wouldn't drop below our opponent in terms of deck count, but we could have done that. Anyways, for game 2, we do side in to the Soul Control package. This was my first time playing Stall Mill, so I wasn't really used to the deck, and I didn't really enjoy my first game with it, so I mentioned that to Ellie in the comments there. But I do think that as time has gone on, my opinions on the deck have changed slightly. I don't think it's terrible to play. It can just feel bad for the opponent. And they're going to start out with a Pot of Greed. Again, like, you know, it doesn't really matter too much in terms of deck count because you do want to just get aggressive as possible with the deck when you're playing as Stall Mill. So they will Pot of Greed there. We will set 3, pass back to them. They're going to attack in with the Lodgin, and they will use reinforcements early here on the Spirit. And we're feeling okay about this. We're going to bring out a Lodgin of our own. They will trap hole that, unfortunately, and we can't do anything about that. They're going to attack in with a Lodgin, set 1, pass back to us. Spirit of the Harp is very good. We can set it, have a bit of defense in case they have another trap hole for our other Lodgin. They will attack in to the Spirit of the Harp, and they will take 200 this time, which is very nice for us. Soul Exchange is very good. We could use Soul Exchange here on their set in case it's a bug, but I guess we're just going to try and clear their Lodgin, which I'm not sure how I feel about. I think maybe we should have Soul Exchanged there, but I guess we've got multiple trap hole for whatever else they bring out, but I don't know. I think it would have been better. Okay, we do get to use Trap Hole on a Summon Skull, which is pretty nice. And we will get to set a Spirit of the Harp here, which is pretty good. They're going to Soul Exchange, and this time we won't actually Trap Hole. And the reason for that is we can Soul Exchange them back. We choose not to, however. We choose to set a bug, because that can be removal anyways. But they reveal that they've got Change of Hearts. This is kind of backfired on us a little. They are going to get in for 25, pass back to us. Swords is very good. We will Soul Exchange here, bringing out Summon Skull. We could activate the swords now, but we've got a trap hole, so it's unlikely that they can kill us now. They do reveal Ultimate Offering, however, so they will be able to get around our trap hole, bring out 2 monsters, and get in for 3,500. And if they've got a reinforcement, we just lose here. Luckily, it looks like they don't, so we will be able to reborn back our Skull, attack in to their Lodgin, and we will activate Sword here just to be safe. If they have any way to remove our Summon Skull, then, you know, we just lose. They're going to switch Battle Axe to defense, and that Woboku is a very nice draw. We're just going to set the Woboku, pass back to them. They're going to pass back to us, and we will just attack in for the Summon Skull. I think, honestly, we could have just summoned out the Alchemator to attack in for a bit more damage, but I guess we were anticipating a situation like this, so we didn't necessarily want that to happen. They're going to set 1, pass back to us. Ultimate Offering is useless to us right now because we have less than 500 life points, so we're going to bring out Aquamator, try and attack in. They will use Ultimate Offering here, which we can't do anything about. And they will bring out Neo, which we will Trap Hole, but they will chain the Ultimate Offering to that, which I think is a very good play. And they will attack in. We do have Woboku, so that's somewhat nice. We do have another Defender here, so we can survive a little bit longer. But, oh, that Monster Reborn is the end of the game, however, because they can just attack in with both their Summon Skulls and then attack in for game with the Giant Soldier. So, a rough game 2 on the Soul Control package. You know, it is a less consistent version of Soul Control. We were able to draw into Summon Skull and Soul Exchange, but we are playing things like Ultimate Offering, which can be good in a 40-card Soul Control deck potentially, but it's just not very good here. And our defenders didn't let us go as aggressive as we perhaps otherwise could have. But we also did make some misplays there. So, you know, game 2 we lost, and for game 3 we could decide to go back into the more standard stall deck that we started with. Kind of like what we did against Aratos in the other video that I showed. But we choose to go into the soul control strategy again, thinking that they might not, expect it. They might be expecting us to go back to the stall, given how disastrously the first game we played with soul control went. So we will go with this strategy again. I think honestly we should have sided back into the stall deck, but it's tough to know. Hindsight's 20/20. And this is not a bad hand, so we'll just set 4, bring out Neo, pass back to them. They're going to set one of their own, and we're going to bring out a giant soldier. We're comfortable attacking into the set because we do have reinforcements if it's a defender. And they are going to use Maneater to get rid of our Neo. We'll attack in for 13, pass back to them. They're going to set another, pass back to us. Login is a great draw here. Again, we're comfortable attacking this way because we do have reinforcements set. So we will use a reinforcements, attack in with Giant Soldier. And they're going to Soul Exchange, bringing out a Summoned Skull. That's a bit rough for us. We don't have any way really to deal with that. Soul Exchange doesn't really do anything here. We don't have a Tribute Monster. They will bring out Neo, and they will attack into the Soldier with their Skull, and try to attack in with Neo. We will just set a Mystical Elf to at least block this attack, but oh, that's rough. That's not what we want to see this turn, because if we use Fissure here, it would only affect the Neo. So this is a bit rough for us. They're going to attack in with the Summoned Skull. We will lose the Mystical Elf, and we will take 17 here. It's not what you want to see. Another Woboku is okay, I guess. I mean, we're going to use Woboku here no matter what. Login is okay. We'll bring it out trying to get in to attack Neo, and I think we should have used Ultimate Offering and changed it to itself to enable us to bring out the Login in a way that dodges Trap Hole. But we didn't think about it at the time, and I think that's a major misplay that might have cost me the game. I mean, let's look at their other... They do have reinforcements, but we could get over the reinforcements with our Login. So we would have been able to fissure away their Summoned Skull here and get rid of their Neo. And that could have made the difference in this game. They did have a Reborn set, so they would have been able to bring back the Summoned Skull. But whether they would have wanted to do that is debatable. But either way, we should have paid the 1,000 just to get Login on the board safely. And now we're suffering for that. We also have a Trap Hole now. They have 2 Neos in hand, so that's rough. We didn't want to fissure away that Neo. We will Trap Hole their Neo. They'll attack in for another 25. Pass back to us. We will be forced to Raigeki their Summoned Skull, but they do have the Reborn here to enable them to get in for game. So would it have mattered if I brought out the Login with the Ultimate Offering? Who could say? I think it would have been a much closer game than it was. But that's the game. So the Soul Exchange was kind of dead in our hand. It is a less consistent version of Soul Control, and Soul Control can brick even when it's at its most consistent. So I think this hopefully has shown some of the flaws in the siding into Soul Control strategy. But game 1, we were able to win pretty confidently. Like, we were just able to set up our board very well, and there was really no chance of us losing, or it didn't seem that way to us. I do think that siding into the stall strategy can be good in game 3, or even just keeping on it in game 2 if they think you're going to side into Soul Control. I think it is very good. There are sort of strong side deck hate against it that people can side in, but even through that hate, it can potentially win. As you saw in the last video against Aratos, who brought in a bit more stall hate cards. But that's going to do it for this video. I just wanted to show off that despite how strong stall mail is, it can still lose games. I did misplay a bit, but you know, misplays are natural. Everyone's going to misplay. And I think even if we didn't here, I think it still would have been a tough battle. And I think that Ellie might have actually managed to pull it off either way. So stall mail can definitely lose. It's not a perfect deck. I don't think it's tier 0 either, like it was in the last quote-unquote format. But it is still very formidable. I hope you enjoyed this second stall mill video. I will be releasing at least one more stall mill video, probably 2. And I may come back to the deck later on because, as I said, there is a lot of experimentation that is available for this deck because so few people play it. But until then, I've been Ben from YGO from Zero, and I'm signing off.